God of our fathers, in whom we trust, by whose guidance and grace this nation was born.
E tua atua kaharua rua, nā tua mātua honua. Nā tua aroha e whānau e mai e Aotearoa.
Bless these councils of Upper Hutt and give all things needed for the faithful discharge of their responsibilities.
Whakapainga mai mātou, kōna mai a whakatiki. Ho mai ki mātou nā me pai. Kia aki ai tia mātou mahi, nā mahi ha hori ati e tia hapori.
Give to each good health and good judgment for the decisions to be made, wisdom beyond our own, and a clear understanding so that we may promote thy glory and the welfare of all in the city.
Ho mai te tine mātua, tia oronga pai me te whāka e pā mai hoki, kia whakatoa kia tanga. Nā mate atu aki e hora tia, me te mātutanga, kia atu taha hora toa ia araranga, o tia hora toa rātoa ia whakatiki.
Through Jesus Christ our Lord.
Ko e hu ko te tau mātu riki.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Just briefly, over the last 6 weeks, we've had the opening, obviously, of another major company that moved to Upper Hutt, the J&D McLennan Engineering, opening until recently. Some of many of the councils were there. And then we also had a couple of Saturdays ago, the Book Fest, again, contributing large amounts of back into our community. And we also acknowledge that just last Monday on King's birthday honour, the local resident Pancha Narayan, who's the multicultural committee, who was honoured by the King. So we congratulate him. I've written to him to congratulate him. We also, before we move to housekeeping, just so everyone can switch off their mobile devices. And toilets just out here, and if we need to go out into the weather, we need the emergency exit is just tear down the stairs and assemble out in front. And if anyone needs to help, we get out to leave, let us know. And if there's an earthquake, let's drop cover and hold and under the tables. So we do have, before we move to apologies, we do have a report from the Chief Executive. You have there that we have a late item. We're happy to accept that. Moved by by Swales, seconded by Councillor Newell. All those in favour say aye. And we'll now move to the apologies. There are no apologies. We have declarations of interest, and I will declare that on the item 4 in the policy committee about the Maidstone Park and the bowling club, I will be leaving the room there. And and then we have public forum. We have several who wish to speak, and we will begin with first speaker is Kate Fabian.
Afternoon. I had sat here before and talked about respect and about open memory, and I hope today that what I'm about to read expresses that that's where I'm coming from. There is no other meaning behind this except that you guys are custodians to our city and the voices of our 46,000 plus community. From the date shown on the consultation on lease of Maidstone Park land page, it shows that today the decision is done. Respectfully, I believe each one of you nearly 3 years ago would have sworn an oath in good faith. This has been handed out to each of you. I am now asking you to stand by that oath. On the 11th of December 2024, there was the council matter of moving the use of Maidstone Terrace through to public consultation with the Upper Hutt Bowling Club proposal. During this meeting, our Mayor moved the motion to proceed. I'd like to look at refer to the minutes on page 2. participated in discussion on the matter, and voted to advance the proposal to public consultation. Within the standing orders, there are sections 20.7 and 20.8 for financial and non-financial conflicts of interest. Both sections exclude those who have a conflict of interest from participating in, voting on, take part in, a discussion about any matter in which they have direct interest. I believe that in not declaring his interest until the 2nd of April 2025, our mayor is in breach of one or both sections due to the participation in the meeting of the referred definitions on page 2 and 3. With respect as councillors, do you abide by your oath and stand up for the integrity of this council and the rules in which this council is held? If you do, consider if the process has been followed, then you should also consider there has been a breach of these rules. If you agree there has been a breach of these rules, I encourage you to uphold your oath, stop this matter, and reset with the correct process. This is why we need to have firm definitions on what is meant by certain things that are put before us. There are too many grey areas, and we have this causes issues for both councillors, community, and other issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Michelle?
Thank you.
you. Our next speaker is Fabian.
Good day. Just briefly want to say this is about process, not people. From the date shown on the consultation lease in Maidstone Park land page on your intranet site, it shows that today the decision will be resolved by council. Respectfully to you all, I believe each one of you signed an oath 3 years ago. You would have sworn an oath in good faith. As Kate said, this has been handed out to you. Excuse our Māori translation. It may or may not be correct. I am now asking you to stand by that oath. On the 11th of December 2024, there was a council matter of moving the use of Maidstone Terrace through to the public consultation with the Upper Hutt Bowling Club proposal. During this meeting, our mayor moved the motion to proceed, participated in the discussion, and voted to advance the proposal to the public consultation. Within the standing orders, the two sections 20.7, 20.8 for the financial and non-financial conflicts of interest clearly state that those who are in conflict are excluded from participating in, voting on, taking part in any discussion about a matter which they have a direct or indirect interest. I believe that in not declaring his interest until the 2nd of April 2025, our mayor is in breach of one or both of those sections due to the participation in the 11th of December meeting. With respect to you all, as councillors, please abide by your oath. Stand up for the integrity of the processes and rules and do what's right. If you consider there has been a process, lapse, breach, whichever you wish to call it, then you should consider, if you agree, then I encourage you to uphold your oath, the integrity of this council, stop this matter and reset with the correct processes in place. I would also like to raise the fact that the current interest register hasn't been updated since the 2nd of April with the mayor's interest that he declared at that point in time. It states that it was updated on the 23rd of April, but that wasn't completed. On having a bit of a look around, I've also seen that there are other interests For example, Timaru Golf Club has down here listed as the patron. This is also not listed. I believe in the report that has been just come out, which is the extra, it states that Councillor Carson has brought up that he has a financial interest in the bowling club. As a member of the public, we don't get to see at the time of declaring the interest whether it is a pecuniary interest or a non-financial interest. And from what I can see, he has both. I'd also like to just state in item 17 of the paper that's just been released that I'll read it out. It says, while Mayor Guthrie and Councillor Carson have not always been consistent on how they handle their conflicts of interest, when they did declare a conflict, they have followed standing orders. No, they have not been consistent in the perception of that sways and in the favour that the processes haven't been followed and we should start again.
Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Our third speaker is Mary Beth Taylor.
Hey everyone. Again, this is not about people and personalities. It is about what is perceived as dysfunctional democracy, and I'm here to try to strengthen our democracy as ever. So I wish to table all my documents, and I'd like to speak to item 6.3 on page 3 of the agenda. I'll take a couple of detours on my way to 6.3, but please stay with me. First, I want to request an immediate update to the declarations of interest, which is also on page 3 of the agenda. When you click the link for the registration of interest, you'll find the mayor's interests have not been updated. He's been a patron of the Upper Hutt Bowling Club since at least 2015. That was plenty of time to update this. So you ask, why is it so important here? I mean, you don't know if it's just whatever it is, but it's important because you need to know what a patron of a club is. So for your information, a patron of a club is a person who provides financial or other support to the club and is often seen as a respected figure within the club. They may lend their name and expertise to the club, boost its reputation, and importantly, open doors for financial, promotional, or organizational benefits. This is important because the mayor certainly has helped the Upper Hutt Bowling Club to open doors for financial, promotional, or organizational benefits, of which this proposal is one. So given this omission by the mayor, it makes you wonder sometimes if he neglected to declare other interests. And yes, he has. The mayor has also been a patron of the Timaru Golf Club since the 30th of January 2024 and is listed even on the club's executive. First one, patron, Wayne Guppy. Okay, so please add this to the list of interests as well. Is it sneaky or is it just a simple omission? So now this is tidied up. I'll move to 6.3, the minutes held on the 21st of May. At this meeting, the mayor declared his conflict of interest as a patron of the Upper Hutt Bowling Club, and he stood aside. However, his impact had already influenced the outcome of this consultation several months before. So please rewind back to the council meeting on the 11th of December 2024, which was chaired by the mayor. He had control of the meeting, and he had not yet declared his conflict of interest at this point. Agenda 7 dealt with the proposed use of the land based on chairs for Upper Hutt Bowling Club. As a chair, the mayor controlled this meeting. He involved himself in the discussion. He dismissed Councillor Bentley and Councillor Swales' concerns for the community and ignored Group leader Mike Ryan's suggestions to include more financial content in the proposal twice. The mayor then influenced the vote by justifying the bowling club's occupation of this community land as just another sporting code on the park. Next, he voted himself in favor of the proposal to use the Maidstone Terrace land for Upper Hutt Bowling Club. Yet he was a patron of the club during this meeting. Now, these are the minutes from the December 11th meeting. I blocked out and read the important parts, but you can see these bare bone meetings, they don't say anything. The minutes don't tell us a thing about it. But if you go to the YouTube video, and I will give you the link to that video, you will see everything. So please go back and view that video. You'll see the mayor moving the recommendations, rushing the discussion, and pushing the vote. And I have transcribed a text from the video and a letter that I shared with Deputy Mayor and the CE, and I will table that for your information as well. So when you see the detail, you'll understand exactly what went wrong. So given the mayor's irregular behavior and the flawed consultation, the only credible action for you councillors, really the only credible action, is to abandon the decision you made on the 21st of May. The policy committee and start this whole consultation over again, and this time invite the full Upper Hutt community to consult on their land. So finally, I do have some thank yous for Councillor Bentley and Councillor Swales, who stood up and challenged the fairness of the consultation on the 21st of May. Both were ignored and both were dismissed. Also, thank you to Group Leader Mike Ryan, who offered twice to provide more financial information and a potential lease around the potential lease, but was also ignored and dismissed by the mayor. And thank you to Councillor Holderness for seeing the obvious flaws in the proposal and voting against it. Thank you. Lastly, I must express my disappointment in the rest of the councillors refusing to do due diligence on this proposal yourselves and refusing to allow it to happen on behalf of the community. You played follow the leader and voted as you were directed, which was against the wider community and their right to engage with consultation over this land. So my very last comment is this, which is I always stand up for. You're seeing here democracy in action when these people come to the council and they speak to you. A functional democracy is inclusive. It's full of healthy debate. It's built on trust that elected representatives will truly represent the community, which is your job and why we hired you to do it. And it's often messy, very messy. You can see this around the world. And it's sometimes frustrating. It takes a lot of time to work its way to the best outcomes for people. But that is what democracy is. And this is why you're here, to represent us and make the best decisions on behalf of the entire Upper Hutt community.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you. Thank you. I will now move that we now move to the policy committee meeting held on the 21st of May. And I will be stepping down and Deputy Mayor Swales will assume the chair. Okay?
Unless I won't mark up your order. Lisa, if the minutes could recognise that the deputy mayor is chairing of this committee. Thank you. I would like to move that the minutes of the policy committee meeting be brought to the front of this agenda item. Can I please have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Councillor Kerry. Can I please, is there any debate on or discussion on that? With there not being any, can I please have a vote that that's what we're...
Question. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're bringing item 6.3 ahead of this paper here?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So if I could please have a vote that we're happy to bring item 6.3 to the front. I have a mover and a seconder. Can I please have a vote that that's what we're going to do? All those in favour, please raise your hand. With there being councillor Hammond, are you for or against or
Sorry.
abstaining?
I'm for, but I'm not happy.
Okay, thank you very much. So that any against, any abstentions, it's carried. So with us moving item 6.3 on the table, I would now like to ask councillor Parson to leave the room.
Not because I'm going to talk about item 2 for chairperson.
Councillor Carson, the chair.
To clear my conflict of interest to the policy committee, I am staying for item 2, which is to do with the declaration of conflict of interest because I have an objection to what is recorded in the meeting. So I intend to stay for that item, Chair.
Okay, I would like to then pass over to you, councillor Carson, to verify or challenge the accuracy of the conflict of interest.
Thank you. Okay. I need to stand or?
That's protocol. Yes,
Okay, thank
please.
you. Right. Okay, so it talks here that that standing order 20.7 confirming the member of a financial interest should physically withdraw themselves from the table unless the meeting is public excluded, in which case they should leave the room. That is not the full description in either of the ones. In fact, I didn't declare a financial conflict of interest. I declared a conflict of interest, and it's non-financial. It's not possible to have a financial conflict of interest in a incorporated society as it's owned by its own members. So that's the first point. So my conflict of interest that I declared was a non-financial conflict of interest. And when you look at the standing orders, and so the standing orders that was read out by the Democratic advisor didn't completely say. It says members with a financial interest should physically withdraw themselves from the table unless the meeting is public excluded, in which case you should leave the room. So it wasn't a public excluded meeting, it was a public meeting. I did leave the table, and leave the table is commonly taken as moving back from the table. I can remain in the room. So the actual clause from 20.8 wasn't accurately recorded in the minutes. Right, first point. Secondly, I challenge any councillor who comments on my decision to declare a conflict of interest or not. And so if you want to read standing orders 20.7 or 20.8, non-financial conflictors, the last paragraph is an important one. Neither the chairperson nor the meeting, that is you people, councillors, may rule on whether a member has a non-financial interest in the matter being discussed. I own the conflict, not you people. So you need to understand that, please. And so I am most objection to how it's recorded in the minutes. So that is so I want the meeting minutes recorded. I have another matter that will remain unsaid at the moment, but I'm pursuing another course of action about allowing a councillor comments about my conflict of interest being allowed in the meeting minutes. So I'm pursuing that under a different avenue. And I shall now withdraw from the meeting.
Thank you, councillor Carson. I'm assuming there is councillor Bentley.
Well, just for clarity for my colleagues' sake, so are you going to be correcting the minutes so that it's quote standing order 20.8, or is that's what happened in the meeting, so that's what gets quoted, or do we quote it so it's the correct standing order, which 20.8 would be more aligned with?
So, councillor Bentley, having conferred with governance, what we've decided is, or agreed an outcome, is that we will review the recording. We will go over the recording. We will address the chair of that particular meeting and decide what an outcome is, whether there is an amendment that needs to be made. But when we ask the chair to actually stand to receive those minutes, we can say, with the exception that we will review and undertake a review of what has just been tabled by Councillor Carson. Are you happy with that? And are the colleagues, my other colleagues around the table, happy with that outcome?
That seems reasonable.
Okay, so I think until we have all the material in front of us, that's the best avenue to take at the moment. So thank you for that point of clarification. So having agreed that we will move the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on May the 21st through a correct record of the meeting, I would now like to hand over to accept the declaration of conflict. Except for the declaration of conflict of interest on the table. The floor is yours, Councillor Newell.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, I move accordingly.
It's more efficient.
Yeah.
I think just for thing, you're moving the minutes of the policy committee on the 21st of May, except for the conflict of interest, item 2. So you
seconded? Yes, Councillor Griffiths seconded.
Thank you. So we are only moving the confirmation of the minutes. Can I please have all those in favour? Please raise your hand. All those against, any abstentions? Carried unanimously. Thank you. What I would now like to move is that the policy committee meeting held on the 21st. Yeah. So what I'd like to do, sorry, I apologise. There was a late agenda item that was tabled earlier this meeting by His Worship, that was tabled by the Chief Executive. I would now like to put this item on the agenda for discussion. So we had a mover and a seconder that it would be accepted as a late item. So with that on the table, I would like to ask the Chief Executive if there are any updates that he would like to give with regard to the paper. But before I do that, what I would like to do is ask all the councillors, because it was a late agenda item, if you have had the opportunity to read this. So because you have not had the opportunity to read this paper, I think in full disclosure, I would like to adjourn this meeting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. I have a mover and Councillor Kerry. I have a second, sorry, Councillor Holderness, and I have a seconder and Councillor Kerry. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
Point of order,
Any
Chair.
abstention? It is carried.
Point of order, Chair.
So we are adjourned
Point
for
of
this
order, Chair.
meeting.
The acceptance of this late agenda item is not natural justice because it excludes the opportunity of all the Upper Hutt Bowling Club members to come tonight and talk to this agenda item. So I'm saying that this agenda item should be deferred for another council meeting to allow public, which you heard from the Fabians, and members of the bowling club to talk to this paper. You are excluding them by having this paper considered tonight. You're excluding them from natural justice, and because it's a late agenda item.
So excuse me,
register my complete objection to having this on the agenda.
excuse me, as the chair of this committee, I strike everything that Councillor Carson has said. He has actually overstepped. I am the chair of this committee. He's declared a conflict of interest. He has left the room. I would like you to please leave the room.
Well, you heard me, and you haven't heard the last.
So if that could be recorded, that it's not going to be recorded. Thank you very much, governance. I would now like to start the clock. We have 10 minutes to please read this paper, and at the 10 minutes, I will restart this meeting. Thank you. Are we live? Welcome back to, for those watching us in the public forum, we're recommencing the council committee meeting of the 4th of June. We had an adjournment for 10 minutes. As you have the opportunity to read a late paper that was put on the agenda and accepted. Now that you've had time to read it, I'm going to ask the executive director if he has any comments he would like to add to the paper before I open it up for discussion.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. There is really nothing new in this paper. It is trying to pull together a summary of the information that you will have received over the last few months as you've been deliberating on this matter and considering your way forward. So the purpose of this paper is, this paper is meant for your benefit, not necessarily for the public consumption or interest. And it was done from the perspective of trying to crystallise very clearly for you the decision that you have before you. The recommendations, in essence, are exactly the same recommendations that were put before the policy committee. And that was to either agree to a lease or not. And really what this paper is doing is reinforce that those are still the two options on the table. In terms of, and I need to highlight for you, if we are wrong about Councillor Carson having declared a pecuniary interest, then bullet point 16 of this paper would need to be amended accordingly, because the information in this paper was based on, as I said before, information we already had. We believed in the writing of the minutes and in the writing that there was a declaration of pecuniary interest. However, we stand to be corrected on that matter and we will adjust everything. Look, I've nothing further to add at this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. So do the members have any questions? And the chair recognises Councillor Newell.
Chair, I was actually going to move rather than question. I was going to move the option that we put forward as the policy committee meeting and have a vote on and vote to approve. And that was number 2B1. Can I have a second and then I'll talk to them?
Just for clarity, Councillor Newell, can you please read out 2B1 so that those colleagues around the table and the public are aware of what you're putting on the table for discussion?
Yep.
But, yep.
Yeah. That we resolve to either confirm council's intention to proceed to negotiate a lease for land at 121 Maidstone Terrace to the Upper Hutt Bowling Club. That was proposed, seconded, and a vote was taken. Okay.
So this is a new paper, councillor, that's been put on the table. So
I am now moving this particular option as it was proposed and voted for at the committee meeting,
so
which I'm the chair of the policy committee.
So do I have a seconder for the resolution? And is that Councillor Griffiths that is seconding that motion? So with that being put on the table, I now open it up for discussion.
Can I speak to it then?
Yes.
Yes. So we've heard a lot of discussion tonight about conflicts of interest, whether pecuniary or non-pecuniary. And I would just say, is that actually material to the decision that we are making again tonight? And simply, I don't think it is. I think that's another matter. Right now, I think we're dealing with the lease to the bowling club. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Newell. Is there any other? I recognise councillor Griffiths.
Thank you, through you, Jeff. My position hasn't changed. The reason why I voted for it in the first place stands exactly the same as it was then. I'd like to see something happen with that land. At this point, it's go out to negotiate a lease. We're not signing that lease at this point. So that's the bit I'm happy to see go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair recognises councillor Ultra.
Thank you, Chair. I originally voted in favour of this option I. There were some things in the meeting on May 28th of the policy meeting, which there was item 4, a report on the reduction of NZTA funding for small road safety projects, and there's a lot of money that we're going to have to find for safety, and there's also other additional information in that item 8, which was the debtors report as well, and so that was additional information that came after this vote, which troubled me for a time, and so then hearing from the community about their concerns about the conflicts of interest, I'm asking council now to decide not to proceed with this proposal.
Thank you. Just a point of correction, councillor Ultra, the meeting that you were referring to was not the policy committee, it was the finance.
Oh, okay.
But that's fine. It's just for correction of and accuracy of the minute taking. Is there any other councillor that would like to talk to the resolution or the recommendation that is on the table by councillor Newell? The chair recognises councillor Hammond.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor. Look, this is not the fault of the bowling club. The merits of the use of the land is still relevant. The conflicts of interest are serious, but this is, not one of them. And look, there's I think that there's I'll be voting for option 1 to carry it on. They would be a good tenant and a good use of the land.
Councillor Holderness.
Thank you. My position still hasn't changed. I would be voting against proceeding, partly because when the context for when we originally discussed the use of the land has changed, and I think that it doesn't preclude the bowling club from coming back in as part of the options that officers can look at. So it can be weighed up against everything else.
Councillor Benfield.
Thank you, Chair. My view also hasn't changed on the matter. I believe we should be looking at bringing a commercial use of the land, exploring a commercial use of the land so we can either sell the land or bring in some extra income to try and put downwards pressure on rates. Regarding the matters that have taken place here today, I actually have sympathy of Councillor Carson on that it should be a non-financial conflict of interest, not a financial conflict of interest. I'm sure we will reach that conclusion. And I do believe the Mayor should have ideally looked to have declared his patronage of the club earlier in the process, to not because I believe there was any material influence on it. However, it's about public perception of the integrity of that process that is at stake. Not that I believe there's been any material effect on the process. So I will be voting against.
Are there any comment? Other councillor? The chair recognises councillor Wheeler.
Yeah. Maidstone Park is a recreational area. And the area that Railway Avenue should be a recreational activity on there. It fits. Second thing is, there'll be no cost from Upper Hutt City Council involved. 3, reverse sensitivity. We've been down that track with commercial or residential area there. You'll be involved in a lot of that. I'll see reverse sensitivity. That's something that will happen. And fourthly, if this doesn't go ahead, you don't have a bowling club or a recreational facility there. It'll be empty for another 10 years. You have no money coming through at all. It'll be sitting there, will be to and fro. It'll be empty for another 10 years. It's been empty for 10 years now. It'll be empty for another 10 years.
Thank you, councillor Wheeler. Are there any other conversations or people that are wanting to speak on this? With there being none, I'd actually like to speak as the Deputy Mayor on this issue. As I have said in the Policy Committee meeting that I will be voting against it, and there has been nothing that has been said that would make me change my mind. So I'm in alignment with the other councillors that voted the same way. What I'd like to remind my colleagues around the table is that that space, while you might think it's empty, is actually being used by a number of the sporting codes that already have the use of that property, and they use it as a training ground to actually preserve the fields that they've got there because they want to extend the life of them. If you take that away from them then and put in a bowling club, then that is going to be taken away. I also believe that when we first negotiated this, we didn't have our Maidstone hub, which has just been put there, which is a CCO that we support and work and support all the clubs that are there. I believe it was said by the bowling club that they would use their facility to actually hire out and use it as a space to hire the venue, to pay for all of the costs that they need to pay in order to complete if they don't get the market price for their property in Exchange Street, to help them put their venue in the new place in Maidstone Terrace. So there are a number of issues there that I'm not quite convinced that a number of us councillors asked the group manager to come back with us. So I won't be voting for the option that Councillor Newell has put on the table. I would certainly be supporting the second option, which still doesn't take away the right for the bowling club to be considered, which is the item B2 decides to not proceed with the proposal to negotiate or lease for the land at 121 Maidstone Terrace 23 lot. And it gives you a DP lot to the Upper Hutt Bowling Club Incorporated according to the consultation proposal. And if you also take 3, requests officers to investigate potential alternatives, uses of the land and report back to council in the new triennium with options to consider. That is an option that I will be supporting, not the one that has been put before us. With no further comment on that, is there any discussion? I believe that's the discussion part, unless anyone else has anything further to add. I would like to then call a vote on the recommendation that Councillor Newell put on the table, which is resolves to either confirm council's intention to proceed to negotiate a lease for the land at 121 Maidstone Terrace and 23 Railway Ave, lots 8, 19 DP 54230 to the Upper Hutt Bowling Club Incorporated according to the consultation proposal. All those in favour, please raise their hands. That wasn't. All those against, please raise their hands. I believe it has been lost by 4. Do you want your votes recorded?
Yes, indeed.
So I would call a division. Thank you. governance. I, as the chair, unless someone else would like to put, councillor Ben.
No, I said.
Okay, so I would like to then put on the table that we, the elected members, look at the recommendation that decides to not proceed with the proposal to negotiate a lease for the land at 121 Maidstone Terrace and 23 Railway Ave, lots 8 through 9, BP 54230, to the Upper Hutt Bowling Club Incorporated, according to the consultation proposal, and requests officers to investigate potential alternative uses of the land and report back to the council in the new triennium with options for consideration. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, councillor Holderness. Is there any debate? Councillor Wheeler.
Just. So we're voting on 2
and 3.
3 together. Oh, well, I might be separately.
Okay, yes, we can do that separately.
And A, we haven't actually moved A at all.
We will do that, but at the moment we're just doing the recommendations. Is there any discussion, councillor Newell?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I would just like to point out that this has been going on since 2015. And if we are now putting this onto the new triennium, it will be 2026 at a minimum. By which time, oh my goodness, I just feel as if some things we just cannot seem to make a decision on, and we just defer it to another group of people who won't know the background, won't know anything. The officers will be required to do more work. We've had this out for consultation for several occasions. And, you know, really what it comes down to is that the bowling club is the only real option we have received. We've had ideas from the public, some of which have been excellent, but they couldn't be followed through on. So just giving an idea isn't enough. It would need some kind of follow-up. And I just feel that pushing this to a new group of councillors is really not what general public want to hear from us.
Thank you, councillor Newell. Councillor Holderness, and then the chair recognises.
Thank you, Chair. I do agree that the idea of reporting back to councillors in the new triennium is reasonably loose, given that there's a 3-year period in there to report back in. I'm wondering what the shortest amount of time that we could reasonably expect to have a reasonable report back would looking
In 10 years.
the group manager's face at this point.
Okay. In order to answer your question, councillor Holderness, I was just conferring with the CEO. We would have to go through the same process as what we have with when we asked for expressions of interest, where we had the 5 or 6 expressions that came back. We would have to do the same. We would have to go out to the public. So that would take about a 3-month turnaround. So possibly might be able to be done in the first year of the triennium, but there is a process that we would have to follow, councillor. So no amendment there then at the moment?
Sorry, Chair, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to narrow the scope.
Yeah. Okay.
In there. Rather than to kind of go out to all and sundry, if we're looking at sort of better commercial uses or potential sale, there might be an opportunity to narrow the scope in there.
Or even keep it as an open space, councillor. Councillor Kerry.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I guess it's just one thing that is probably also important to note is we have a credit rating to maintain, and a big element to that. My understanding is the good part of that is obviously we can be a little bit more agile in terms of our interest rates and where we, where we make savings across the board for rates. One of the things that we need to be doing, considering with that, is how we keep the balance healthy. This doesn't really allow that in a long-term sense when we're looking at the rate or the rents that we could possibly be getting versus a commercial lease, which obviously I don't know the amount, but it would be significantly higher, or a sale. And if we're actually looking at what long-term outlook for the income for the council, then that's probably where my priority sits at the moment.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Ultra.
Thank you, Chair. In the original EOIs, there were, the Upper Hutt Bowling Club had said that they had other options as well. So there was the Maidstone Park option, as well as Savage Park and the Royal Golf Club, and merging with Silverstream and remaining at Exchange Street. So I just wondered if any of those would help to open up their options, if there was another option among those original ones.
Point of order, Chair.
Thank you, councillor Bingley.
So just for clarity.
Yeah.
Yourself and councillor Holderness moved items 2 and 3. Councillor
Yes, we
Wheeler has requested that we take those separately.
Yes.
Is it now not for us to vote on option 2?
Yes, yes, it is, councillor. So I so move, now that we have a mover and a seconder of those, all those in favour, please raise your hand of item 2B, 2 and 3. But we will take them separately, which is 2, which is decides to not proceed with the proposal to negotiate. So we're taking them separately. Everyone clear what we're doing with the vote? Those all in favour that we decide not to proceed, please raise your hands. Would you like those against? Would you like your votes recorded? Yes, they would, governance. Yeah, so could we please have another show of hands? All those in favour, please show your hands. Councillor Curry, Holderness, Ultra, and Griffiths, and Bentley, and Councillor Swales. And all those against that option, please raise your hands. We have Councillor Hammond, Councillor Newell, and Councillor Wheeler. I believe that has been passed. We will now go to the second item, which is 2B number 3, which was request officers to investigate potential alternative uses of the land and report back to council in the new triennium with options for consideration. I believe Councillor Holderness had some reservations and wanted to shorten the term. Is anyone prepared to put an amendment to that recommendation, or are we happy to vote on it as is? Councillor Griffiths?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to look at moving an amendment to number 3.
Yes.
Request officers to investigate potential alternative uses for the land and report that back to council within 12 months of the first of the new training, with options for consideration, not excluding vote.
Just going to make sure that it's been recorded properly, Councillor Newell, and then I'll read back to make sure that people are aware. Then I will ask for a seconder, unless you wanted to. If that's okay, thank you. Yes, please. So governance will read back the amendment to the recommendation of 1 through.
So the amendment is that council requests officers to investigate potential alternative uses of the land and report back to council within 12 months of the new triennium with options for consideration, including Bowling Club Incorporated.
Not excluding.
Not excluded, okay. My apologies.
Okay, Are we happy with that? So we have a mover in councillor Griffiths. Do we have a seconder in councillor Holderness? Is there any debate on the amendment? Councillor Newell.
I just want to, I know I'm pushing a barrel uphill here, but officers have already done this several times and we are wasting their time and our resources in re-investigating possible alternative uses of the land. There have been many opportunities for groups to come back to us and give us ideas. And as I said before, all we've heard are just vague ideas with no proposals. And I do not see why this is going to be any different.
Councillor Bentley.
I wasn't gonna speak on this, but I will. I'm gonna vote against the amendment because I don't think we need the 12-month time frame. The council officers won't sit on their hands and bring it back. So they'll get onto it. And also, if we do need more than 12 months to potentially look at something like maybe potentially rezoning the land, we might need more time. And so why put a time frame on coming back on the options? And just to respond to my colleague to my right, we haven't looked at all the options since I've been on council. It was voted out in 2019 before the election, and we haven't looked at it again properly, seriously, till this time. And we've only actually looked at recreational options. So not all of the options have been on the table. So I don't think we are relitigating, but we are not relitigating items that have been done in this term. It is looking at a fresh, different use potentially. So I think we just need to take the recommendation as it is, and get on with it.
Are there any further comments or questions on the recommendation? I would just like to stand and support my colleague, councillor Bentley. I believe that if we are going through this pathway, it's really important that we give it due diligence, we give it time for the officers to investigate everything and bring it back as a paper to this council for deliberation. And if it takes time, like they say, all good cheese takes time. So I would not be supporting the amendment that has been put on the table. So if there are no other discussions or questions on the amendment, I will put it to the floor. Councillor Griffiths. Yes, please.
I just reread it. We're requesting the officers to investigate potential alternative uses of the land, not to rezone it in amongst the 12 months, not to make decisions in those 12 months, but to investigate potential alternative uses of the land and bring back a report to council. That's what I've asked. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments to be made?
Just question process.
Bentley.
We'll vote on the amendment.
Yes.
And then we'll vote on the proper.
Yes, we will, as process dictates, councillor.
Thank you.
So if there are no further questions, I am asking councillors to vote on the, and I'm going to read it, governance to read it in full so that we're aware of what we're voting on.
So the amendment on the table is that council requests officers to investigate potential alternative uses of the land and report back to council within 12 months of the new triennium, with options for consideration, not excluding Upper Hutt Bowling Club Incorporated.
That is the amendment that is on the table. It's a substantive. I have a mover and a seconder. I am putting it to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. All those against? Okay, do we want a division? Do we want it recorded? No, we don't. Thank you. So the amendment has been lost. We go back to the original, which is that we request officers to investigate alternative uses of the land and report back to council in the new triennium with options for consideration. There has been a mover and a seconder of that. If there is no discussion, Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you. What's the difference between the amendment and this one?
The time limit. Sorry. Pardon me?
Yes, the only thing.
Yes.
And the wording of Upper Hutt Bowling Club.
And
But it doesn't, exclude them or include them either way?
No, it doesn't,
So it's only
councillor.
time.
Yes. That was a point of clarification. Any other questions before we take the vote? No questions. I then call for the vote. All those in favour of 2B3 in favour, please raise your hands. Do people want their votes recorded? All those against? Do you want your votes recorded? Councillor Hammond and Councillor Newell have voted against. It is carried. I would now like to move to 2A, which is considers the matters raised in the report entitled Extraordinary Business Proposed Use of the Land Adjacent to Maidstone Park for the Upper Hutt. Oh, thank you for moving, councillor. Thank you, councillor Holness and councillor Bentley. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you very much. I now move that we move to okay. I now move that the council adopts the recommendation except for item 4 of the policy committee meeting held on the 21st of May 2025. I'll wait for people to catch up.
Back on the proper agenda now.
After we accepted, we moved that. Yeah, we've just moved. Yeah, so we're just closing the loop for you. So I move the council adopts the recommendations except for item 4 of the policy committee meeting held on the 21st of May 2025. Councillor Newell. The floor is yours.
Sorry, did you? I thought you were
No,
moving it.
no.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm moving it.
Yeah.
I move that the policy committee confirm the record of the meeting as true and correct records.
No, we've done that. It's the recommendations that we've just discussed.
I don't know what.
Okay, all right. I will so move then.
Yeah, what do you move? I don't.
I move the recommendations, not the minutes.
I'll see.
Thank you, councillor Bentley. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against? So abstentions, so moved. Yes. I will now remove myself from the chair and we will go back to the original agenda items. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Normally Wayne would appear with Wayne as well, so Wayne. We just second.
Well, right, here's the paper which says what.
Yeah, they can.
Where are we at here?
Up to the doors.
Can we now move to item 4? Thank you. Can you give the mayor? Item 4, which is the dog control policy and practices. On page 5, we have here, again, it's a process that we need to required under the Act to review. I'm happy to move the recommendation that we receive and note the report. Is there any discussion?
Your worship,
Yeah.
sorry.
Do you want to second it first?
No, I want to ask a question. So you used to get councillor Hudson back in the room?
I've told him he can come back in.
Okay, so it's up to him, I think. But I do still have a question, your worship. So under number 4 for this particular item, the council must publicly notify the reporters because we don't have a newspaper, I was just wondering, was this recorded, and maybe do we need to amend where we actually publicise
What
this?
says here on the council website.
Yeah, but it also says that we've circulated in daily newspapers and worship on, so, yes, notification in a daily.
Most all that stuff's now being done in the post.
Yeah,
Okay,
your worship,
so
the
that's-
key,
Yeah.
the key words
Yeah.
in this are, a daily newspaper circulating in our district. Well, there isn't one, so that's why.
Yeah, I asked, thank you.
Yeah, are you happy to second it?
Yes, I am, your worship, yeah.
Any further, councillor Carey, did you? No. All those, okay, we'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. Been carried. We now go to item 5, which is on page 8, which is the council meeting of the 30th of April 2025. Are there any items to be discussed?
Yeah, I'm going to withdraw from the meeting.
You. Are there any items to be discussed? No items to be discussed, then I'm happy to move. Do we have a seconder? Seconded by councillor Holderness. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The contrary, no. Been carried. We now go to the extraordinary council meeting on the 14th of May. No, 19th of May, isn't it?
14.
14. Any items to be discussed? Happy to move. We have a seconder. Now, Deputy Mayor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the record of the council meeting. It was held on the 19th and 20th of May. Are there any items to be discussed? Happy to move. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Bentley. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. Now to item 6, which is a record of the city services meeting, which was held on the 7th of May. Any item to be discussed? Councillor Wheeler.
Thank you, Worship. I mean, that City Services Committee confirmed the record of the meeting held on the 7th of May, but still the correct record for the second.
We have a mover. Thank you. Councillor Wheeler, seconded by Councillor Bentley. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. Been carried. Now, I'd like to move that we adopt the recommendations of that meeting. Happy to move, seconded by Councillor Wheeler. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting, which was held on the 14th. And we have Councillor Carson, who's not here. Were you happy to move?
Absolutely, Your Worship. I would like to move the minutes of the Risk and Assurance Committee meeting that was held on the 14th of May 2025. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Griffiths, thank you.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Swales, seconded by.
He's not over here. Sorry.
Sorry,
Councillor Bentley.
thank you.
We have an apology? Okay, well, I'm happy to move.
Thank you,
I've
Your
seconded
Worship.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Swales.
So,
Seconded.
is it me or what?
I've done it.
Thank you.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. Now move to adopt the recommendations of that meeting. Happy to move, seconded by Deputy Mayor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
The contrary, no. It's been carried. Policy has been done. We now move to the Finance and Performance Committee, which was held on the 28th of May. Councillor, any items to be discussed? Councillor Bentley.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that the Finance and Performance Committee confirm that the record of the meeting held on the 28th of May is a true and correct record of the meeting. No, I second that.
Seconded by Councillor Holderness. Moved by Councillor Bentley, seconded by Councillor Holderness. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move, I will move that council adopts the recommendations of the Finance and Performance Committee. And we have moved by Councillor Bentley, seconded by self. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the record of the Chief Executive Committee held on the 25th of February. Happy to move. Seconded by councillor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. We now move to the creative communities. And the creative communities, where are we? F 133. And I'm happy to move. No. Seconded by, you happy to move it? Okay, you move it, councillor Holness. Councillor Ultra seconded. All those in favour say aye. Contrary, no. It's been carried. And we now move to the record of the Joint Committee, the Hutt Valley Services Committee, which was held on the 2nd of May. Any items to be discussed? Councillor Griffiths.
I move that the Hutt Valley Services Committee.
Deputy Mayor Swales. So moved by councillor Griffiths, moved by Deputy Mayor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
For contrary, no. It's been carried. And I now move that we adopt the recommendations of that meeting, moved by councillor Griffiths, seconded by councillor Swales. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. Now, that brings us to public excluded. So I'm happy to move that we move into public excluded. Seconded by councillor Holderness. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no. It's been carried. Thank you very much for joining us as we move into public excluded.